And now we're about to get underway here at Queensland Raceway for the EFS 4x4 Accessories XL Cup 175 kilometres Enduro, brought to you by Bushranger Power Equipment.
And no one's ever going to take you away again. Just the weekend, he said. Didn't even armour all your tyres. No lending. 9, 0, never.
Hey, Dave. Hey, can I borrow the... But I'm your best mate. OK.
Bushranger Power Equipment. Too good to lend to your mates.
This clown again. Bushranger.
Oh, hey, do you think I could borrow the trimmer?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. There you go. It's all yours. Probably need a tetanus shot for that one.
Thanks.
Bushranger Power Equipment. Too good to lend to your mates.
What's he doing here? Hang on a minute. This is too easy. Uh-oh. Smile and nod. 3, 2, 1.
Bushranger Power Equipment. Too good to lend to your mates.
And thanks once again to Bushranger Power Equipment as we head into the final race of the day here at Queensland Raceway, and the culmination of what has been 4 very exciting sprint races heading into this EFS 4x4 Accessories XL 175 kilometre Enduro. And joining me, Mark Jones in commentary, is the unrelated Ryan Jones. And very good to see you, Ryan. You've been pulling TA2 Muscle Car Northern Series all weekend, and it's been they've been a fascinating set of races all to themselves. But we have a monster-sized grid. It was supposed to be 37 cars. Will shake out to be 35.
Yeah, we've lost 2 cars, which is a bit of a shame.
Unfortunately, at the end of the last race, there was a collision with Rod Dawson. Was involved in the collision in the number 76. James Simpson's car was too badly damaged to continue, but James will still be starting in the race, as Ian Harvey has very kindly donated his seat in the number 96 car to Simpson. So James Simpson will now start the race with Jeremy Hassel from grid position 6.
Some very cool combinations, though. They're going to pair up for this 57 lapper.
Yeah, they're all front row of the grid.
They're all skewed to the front, aren't they?
It is a bit. It is, although there's some excellent combinations further back. Looking at grid 16 is a car that I personally will be watching with interest, but we'll get to that momentarily. We've got a little bit of time to fill before the race gets underway. We've had we had a full round of the XL Cup yesterday, and we saw that Cameron Bartholomew won the first race after a stonkingly quick 1:29 pole position lap. Race 2 was won by a driver whose name has fallen out of my head. No, it was Ryan O'Sullivan, of course. That was his breakthrough first victory. And then in the third race, I'm going to have another memory fail, and this one's not coming into my... but we had of course, we then had the co-driver race this morning, and that was a fascinating little duel all of its own, with Cameron Wilson clearing out to take victory and secure pole position for the 175 kilometre Enduro.
Hasn't lost any of his touch, has he? He's been out of the car for a little while, but he's hopped straight back in and gone straight to the front of the field in that very stacked co-driver field full of big drivers, big names, some regulars to XL Cup, some ring-ins for this round. Very talented combo.
5 XL Cup championships in that pole position car between the two drivers. I with just by guesstimation, I would suggest that Cameron Wilson and his co-driver Brett Parrish, although we'll really see the way around, have scored more race victories in XL Cup, possibly compared to everybody else combined. Maybe. I might be exaggerating just a little bit. So, we're just having a little bit of an issue with our microphones. So sorting this. First time we've used a dual microphone setup here. But yes,
we'll get there.
To run through the grid then, we might highlight some of these driver combinations. On pole position, as mentioned, with 5 XL Cups and an XL National Championship between them. Cameron Wilson and Brett Parrish in the number 54 Semis Plumbing Big Pro car, alongside, and how good does this sound combination? Nash Morris, who's been one of the emerging stars of QRDC racing and also in THA cars just recently. And alongside him is his co-driver, the current series points leader, Dunlop Super 2 Series, Brock Feeney.
Big month for Brock Feeney, I suspect.
Not that long since Townsville.
You know what I can hear? I can hear some XL starting up in the pit lane.
Yeah, we better push through then. Starting from the second row of the grid, we have Darren Whittington in the Innovate Property car, and his co-driver is none other than the driver of the Blanchard Racing Team Ford Mustang supercar racing, and that's Tim Slade. On the second row of the grid, another driver from the Dunlop Super 2 Series, that's Declan Fraser, and he's sharing the car with Ray Owen, who's the regular driver of car number 25. Then we go to the third row of the grid, Frank Cammarello, driving with Darren Curry in the Select Smash Cars car. Alongside them is substitute driver James Simpson and Jeremy Hassel in the number 96. Then we have Cameron Bartholomew, a pole sitter from yesterday morning, and his co-driver from Touring Car Masters, the Chevrolet Camaro racer, Ryle Harris. That's another fascinating combination. Ryan Casher and Luke Pink have combined their efforts this weekend. They're both front-running XL Cup races. So they combined into Ryan Casher's car rather than run 2 independent entries.
Yeah, 5th row of the grid, that's going to be Tuckwood and McNamara. They'll have
Michael
one
Tuckwood, fresh back from the United Kingdom just prior to the COVID outbreak, and he's a former front runner in this class.
I'll have one list alongside them on row 5, starting
Daughter
from
and father, Brooke and Todd. Of course, Todd, perhaps more famous for World Series sprint cars.
very talented combination that. Tell you what, we're going to blaze through this grid because they'll be ready to start this race. They got 2 formation laps, but we got 35 cars to get through. P11, Jared Hughes and Kai Allen. That's a very talented combination. Kai Allen coming off the back of his appearance in Toyota 86, picking up a podium on his debut. And Jared Hughes, very good in the XLs as well. Evans and O'Sullivan on row 6 alongside them.
Sean Evans from Hot Hatch Cup, front runner in their class, and Ryan O'Sullivan his first victory in XLs yesterday.
Lachlan Bloxham in the 68. He's pairing up with another very good name,
Steve Owen.
Steve Owen. So look out for them.
Co-driver.
Yep. Holly Espray jumps in with Richards in the 557, starting from 14th ahead of Tomlin and Dremel. And then comes Zane Goddard and Benjamin Gomersall. That's a combo that you said you were going to keep your eye on, Mark, starting out of 16th spot. Aaron Wilton and Connor Roberts starting 17th ahead of...
No, it's Ben Wilson, former V8 Butte Series racer, who's co-driver.
So that's changed.
Oh, sorry. Who was that again, sorry?
Wilton and Roberts, car 19. They're starting out at...
No, I'm sorry, Andrew Wilton, sorry, I misheard. I heard Wilton instead of Wilson.
It's Andrew, not Aaron. I said Aaron initially. Holland and Natoli starting 18th. Ryan Hansford steps into an XL out of his Touring Car Master machine, and he pairs up with Mitchell Wooler. And
there's another combination.
Just starting into the top 20 next to them is Donaldson and Machota. That's half the field.
Trey Machota's a very fast driver as well. So fairly even start just by the look of things. Oh, no, they're sideways. Parrish was sideways off the line. It looks like Nash Morris is going to jump up and lead the way in the early running. Unfortunately, don't have an indication at the moment as to who started each of the cars in the race.
It's the Morris and Feeney combination that leads, though, out at the front, but under early pressure from Wilson, probably, who's started that car, I'd suspect, trying to get the spot back down at turn 3.
It's very even for third place there as well. Whittington and Slade. You imagine we've got a car slowing out the back of the pack. Can't pick up who that is at the moment, but there we have Wilson and possibly Feeney. Front of the pack there. We see Tim Slade lining. No, that's not Tim Slade. That is Ryle Harris, who's in third place. The 195 Peter Phillips performance car.
Off the road for
Feeney.
Morris and Feeney.
So it looks like Feeney's off the circuit.
Oh, good rejoin.
And Harris is up into second place. So early mover there, Ryle Harris. Made a fantastic start. Now the car that's fallen out of the tail of the field might be... No, I can't pick that one up. The race numbers have been wrong. It's a huge field of 35 plus cars. But we see here
one
Wilson.
off in the gravel at turn 1 in between 1 and 2.
Yeah,
another one off with them as well. Popular spot at the moment.
Yeah, wide through turn 2's not. Oh yeah, I see. Yeah, on the back end of the back straight now, we've got a bomb dive for the race lead. Now I'm going to suggest that Cameron Bartholomew's take a start in the Peter. Or has he? Might be Ryle Harris. Oh, I can't decide who's driving in which of the cars at the moment.
Still side by side, though.
But Harris is our race, well, he was our race leader, and now, we'll see, and he hangs on to it.
Oh, big lock up and some contact deeper in the field. Oh no, 2 cars off at turn 4. We'll pick up who that was in just a second. As they rejoin the circuit. Oh, that was Goddard and Gomersall. It was the 35 car that locked it all up.
And also Ryan O'Sullivan, Sean Evans' car, which started in the top 10, and he's fallen to the tail of the field. But up front, here we go again. Wilson reclaims the lead from Ryle Harris. Huge pack of cars.
Oh, it's on for the lead here.
Slade is pushing hard. Here comes Tim Slade on the inside line. The grey number 85 car pushes into the lead, and he's got Steve Owen bump drafting from behind there in the number 25 car that he's sharing with... No, that's not Steve Owen.
It seems like an unfair advantage. 2 cars against 1 in the straight line.
Sorry, it was Declan Fraser who's driving the orange number 25 car with Brady Owen, hence my mix-up of Brady and Steve Owen. But back in front now, Ryle Harris. More bump drafting there from Declan Fraser. On towards the back of the pack.
I tell you what, Mark, they're not treating this like an enduro, are they? They're
no.
going at it.
No,
they got 175 kilometres and 57 laps to get there. We're 2 laps in, and they're dicing for the race lead like it's a 5-lap sprint.
Fastest lap of the race thus far has been Brock Feeney. He's been shuffled back the order to 6th position. but he's the fastest car on the circuit right at the
Three
moment.
wide again.
As Ryle Harris leads them across the line once more. Tim Slade it is, who's in second place as, oh my goodness me, the number 35 car of Gomersall and Goddard is out of the race. That was the number 35 unit car that we saw pulling to one side at the
Well, I wouldn't be surprised, Mark, if the reason that car locked up so heavily was because of an issue. That's why we saw it locking up so hard and it triggering that small crash down at turn 4. So that's a real shame for them. They fancied their chances of a solid result.
Now we're seeing here that Ryle Harris is motoring away at the front of the field. He's got a gap on the squabbling duo there of Cameron Wilson and Tim Slade. That race is doing a good job there in fourth position. Then we go back to Luke Ping. See the bright yellow number 97 car. Oh, hello. It looks like Fraser's dropped a couple of positions here, and that's promoted Luke Pink up into fourth position.
They'll all see Ryle Harris at the front trying to pull away, and they don't want to let him do that, because if Harris can pull away at the front of this field, it'll be a massive advantage throughout the course of this race for both Ryle and for Bartholomew. As this one progresses, the compulsory pit stop window to change your driver opens on lap 19, closes on lap 38. And if we get a clamp down, which is, I guess, a virtual safety car sort of experience, then everyone will dive in if it's within that window to change their drivers. But it won't allow the field to close up, so there's no real chance to catch the leader once they've checked out, unless you're purely quicker than them. So it's the early signs of an ominous advantage for Ryle Harris, Mark.
Well, it's Cameron Bartholomew at the wheel. I've had that confirmed.
Well, that's good. That's even more ominous.
Well, Cameron was the fastest driver in qualifying yesterday, being one of the regular XL pilots. Even with a driver as good as Ryle Harris as co-driver, this is also a bit of a high-risk strategy here for them, because generally you want to have a slow driver at the start of these Enduro Cup races.
I think when you've got two fast drivers, it's all right.
If they're evenly met. Now here's a battle going on position here. There's the McNamara car there, with Michael Tuckwood, I think, might have started the race. That's actually, I'm not quite sure.
That car being driven by Cam Wilson and Brett Parrish, though, has stopped Bartholomew from running away and is catching him by quite a bit.
And here's our race leaders on camera once again. Cameron Bartholomew versus Cameron Wilson. I wouldn't go... You could almost say that this is the twin cam show at the front of this XL Cup field now. Cam Bartholomew and Cameron Wilson.
Brett Parrish racing that car in second place. So as we go further into this race, we get more and more confirmations from the paddock as to who's actually at the wheel of these cars. Our timing screen through NatSoft only shows the driver that sort of entered the car for the weekend. It doesn't show who's at the wheel, and it doesn't really show who is gonna swap in with the driver change as well. So Brett Parrish running in second place, and Cameron Bartholomew out front trying to avoid being run down. Ryan Casher then sitting in third.
Yeah, that's a very good drive there by Ryan Casher on board. I assume that Casher is on board for the start, although we see that Tim Slade regains the position. Now, we've also been able to confirm that Brett Parrish is driving the number 54 car at the moment. So Bartholomew and Parrish are our 2 race leaders. Then Tim Slade is in the number 85 car. Then Ryan Casher in the number 79 car. And then Brady Owen.
And then Nash Morris as no off the road. So a change for the lead is going to occur down here at turn 3 mark. Up the inside for Brett Parrish. And there's not much Bartholomew can do there after spilling it off wide at turn 2. He can try and fight back around the outside of turn 3, but Parrish is going to try to shut that door in his face on the run towards turn 4. Isn't able to do it. They're going to continue running wheel to wheel around this circuit, and in doing so, they're going to allow the chasing pack to close right up to them, and we're going to have a monumental fight for the lead once again.
Slade, Casher and Brady Owen, the 5th car in that group, and we see that the Nash Morris Brockfini car is starting to return to this fight as well to make it a 6-car fight for the lead. There is that gap in the field between 6th and 7th, and notice that Joshua Richards has made a sensational early run in the 557 car, and he's motored up into that sort of that best of the rest position in the field.
So as we complete another lap, many of them to come in this race, there's not much of a gap at the front. They are bumper to bumper for the lead of this race. Six cars have broken away at the front of this field. 35 cars in total trying to get to the end of this endurance race. And down the back straight, bump drafting their way down the back straight. Parrish happy to just sit in behind Bartholomew this time.
We're broadcasting this, so that's what we call it.
Oh, we got 1 car in the lane. I can hear that just beneath our position here in the tower. That is not the 888, but it is a similar color to it.
It's number 6.
That's the number 6 that's come to pits, done a tour and gone back out.
Oh no, sorry, that'll be number 9.
Nope, the 9.
Right.
Pick a car, Mark. Any car. Brady Owen's got by Ryan Casher on that lap as well, as they're side by side into turn 1 mark. Parrish back into the lead.
Yeah, and we're seeing this. And here's Simpson, and where the car with that driver substitute, Jeremy Hassel and James Simpson, they've climbed up into 7th position now. So we see that red and yellow car flying through the pack as up at the front of the field here we see once again. And Slade's going with them. They're passing that slow car that we just saw through the lane. Slade into the lead. Great move by Tim Slade. Got the run through turn 2 and was able to power past the field, but we've got a Noah's Ark situation here of 2 pairs of cars going side by side. And it looks like Bartholomew is back into the race lead. Parrish is bump drafting behind him. So Tim Slade's going to get demoted to 4th here because we see that that Brady Owen has the inside line for turn 3, or Declan Fraser, as the case may be.
Yeah, I was going to say, that move for the lead is not complete for Tim Slade. You have to make sure you clear the car you're trying to pass at turn 3. He did not do that and got hung out to dry as a result. Now he's got more in behind him as drama at turn 4.
It's Trey Machado.
So Trey Machado facing the wrong way. There was one off in the grass to his left, or to his right rather as well, left of the screen. But looks like they've rejoined the racetrack. So I suspect there was contact, and Machado's rejoined in the middle of 3 wide. He's pushing one of them into the grass. Oh no, an awkward couple of seconds there for Machado as the leaders head back around turn 2. The order at the moment is Bartholomew, Parrish, Brady Owen, Casher.
Luke Pink.
And it is Luke Pink in the car It's not Ryan Casher right now. There's another confirmation as we get further into this race.
Luke Pink's driving that bright. Yeah, Luke Pink is the driver of the bright yellow car sitting there in 4th position. As we see a change for 2nd place. No, once again, Tim Slade slightly in the wrong spot. And in fact, no, that was Brady Owen, of course.
He missed a shift. He was slow out of there.
Or Declan Fraser, whichever one it is at the wheel. When now we see that Nash Morris has climbed up into 4th place. He's on the outside of Fraser. This might not go well.
I think you're right.
Although they did sort themselves out in the end, but Tim Slade's going to pick up at least 1 spot.
Yeah, it's not gone well for Fraser, that's for sure. So these 6 cars continue to scrap it out while everyone else falls by the wayside. Behind them, that battle for 7th is just off in the distance, led by Kai Allen. There is the 7th place fight. In fact, Kai Allen's not in. No, he's, yeah.
That's the Simpson car. They're in 7th place, unless they've lost a lap.
Or not coming up on the timing screen.
Leaders descend upon turn 3. We've got 10 laps into the books, 47 remaining. Now the pit window opens on lap 19. We've had a couple of cars into the pits already. Those do not count as their compulsory pit stops. Now here's this battle. This is a little bit further back in the pack.
7th.
Yeah, it looks like that's the James Simpson and Jeremy Hassel car in the front of that group, which isn't showing up on our timing.
Yeah, not on the timing screen, but certainly on the racetrack and holding good pace. So not quite sure what the story is there. Maybe someone from the paddock can let us know, along with the driver combinations that we keep getting updates on. Because the timing screen tells us that Cash is in the car, when we've had word that Pink is in the car. So there's the proof in the pudding there that the timing screen is wrong and we can't rely on it. I tell you what, at the lead of the race, I've just spotted someone's pulled away by quite some margin. Never mind, it was a laps car.
There we see the Gomersall and
Goddard.
yeah, Gomersall Goddard car is back on track again, although circulating slowly, and the leaders have just blasted past the unit stickered car on the run down to turn 3 on this back straight here at Queensland Raceway. Bartholomew. Look at the way they've bunched up on the run down at turn 3. Nash Morris is really going for it. Nash, in fact, he's got the inside line. He'll nose briefly in front of the pack. but he'll lose it almost immediately as we see Bartholomew and Parrish again teaming up with a little bit of bump drafting, a little bit of, well, not bump drafting precisely because it doesn't work that well, but you do sit immediately behind the car in front of you, and it's the same sort of effect. Bartholomew, Morris, Parrish.
Not on air, mic 2. That one.
And there's a secondary group of cars. Now, Jeremy Hassel was leading that group of cars. I can't see Jeremy actually now. Something's gone a little bit amiss there, perhaps.
2x2 into turn 1 behind the race leader, as squeezing on through as Luke Pink into second, but Tim Slade's going to cut back underneath him into turn 2 and retake second place. And behind him, Brady Owen and Brett Parrish run in that order now after sorting themselves out, and that's allowed Cameron Bartholomew to pull quite a gap. Look at that, he's off the camera to the right almost.
That was very definitely bump drafting there. Luke Pink moving right up on Tim Slade's tail. Certainly there was contact there, and Tim Slade scooted ahead just slightly. Now Morris has fallen off the back of this group as they go 3 wide on the exit of turn 3.
Just going to make sure they don't move across on poor old Luke Pink in the middle there. That's a common incident you often see when both cars on the outside creep to the middle.
Well, we see Pink has just discretion being the better part of valor and backed out of that one.
So Nash Morris got dropped pretty hard by this group. So he must have run into some trouble out there. A little off-track excursion.
He's falling into the clutches of Joshua Richards, actually.
His last lap was 2.4 seconds slower than where it should have been. So that's where the issue is for Nash.
Here's an interesting group here. There's a 67 car there. There's Richard Espray and Scott Green, a former XL Cup champion. He's being chased hard here by Dan Natoli. We said that the O'Sullivan car was involved in that group as well, and Brooke Wadless. The father and daughter Wadless team of Todd and Brooke Wadless are doing a fabulous job. They're up around 11th position. The distinctive bright green car just travelling across the shop there is the Wadless family car. Right here we see the gap at the front of the field between Bartholomew and Slade.
It's coming down, so every time Bartholomew gets out and pulls a bit of a margin when they're battling behind, those drivers in behind are able to edge him back in ever so slightly, and eventually they battle for the lead again.
Slade was slow out of turn 3 that time, and you see that Parrish is capitalising here.
Yeah, Parrish is smart though. I don't think he's going to fight Slade too much. He knows that Bartholomew's out there and won't want him to get away unless he knows that Slade's slower than him, which I don't think he really is, bar a non mistake.
There is a little bit of special motivation, mind you, because the car he's chasing there that Tim Slade's driving, that's Darren Whittington, who up until a couple of months ago, they were teammates, and now they're not. So there could be some, as we move back, there's Connor Roberts, number 19 car being chased by McNamara. As we drop a little bit further back in the back, there's a car that I have been looking forward to seeing a bit further up in the field, but struggling a little at the moment. That's Mitch Buller in the number 52 car that he's sharing with Ryan Hansford. As we go back up towards the
42 laps still to go in this one of 57 that they are tasked with completing.
We've picked up Zane Goddard, Ben Gomersall car again, running around at the tail of the field. And here's our race leader, Pack.
It's on again, fighting it out. So Bartholomew's been run down. Now Parrish reckons he can have a go at Slade because they've caught the race leader. Outside of turn 4, it doesn't seem particularly viable for him though, and he'll tuck back in line behind Slade. very experienced group of racers. Not so much experience in XL racing for Slade, but elsewhere in supercars. Whereas everyone who's racing here is so experienced in the XLs.
Luke Pink is showing no signs of his relative lack of experience. He's right up on the tail here in Ryan Cash's car in 4th place. That bright yellow car has been quick since the race started. And we see the Brady Owen car, and Declan Fraser, I believe, is driving at the moment in 5th place, just flashing across. There's the Nash Morris car.
Yeah, that Declan Fraser I think he's just struggling a little bit for some speed. He's not quite going with Luke Pink and Brett Parrish and Tim Slade is. He's just a little ways behind them. His lap times aren't too bad. They're still quicker than what Nash Morris is able to do, but he does have some benefit of a slipstream down these straights, whereas Morris doesn't have that because he's fallen so far away. In fact, Morris is in a really lonely spot. He's almost 10 seconds clear of 7th place, but he's about 3 or 4 seconds behind this battle for the lead.
Just to run down some of the order further back in the field, it's, as we said, Brady Owen in 5th place, Nash Morris is 6th, then Kai Allen's car is in 7th, ahead of Joshua Richards, Connor Roberts, Ryan O'Sullivan, Brooke Wanless, Lachlan Bloxham, Mitch Wooler, Dan Natoli, and Scott Green is your top 15, with Hayden Humes actually doing quite well in 16th.
Interestingly, the fastest lap of the race, not amongst the top 16 drivers. As Brett Parrish moves himself into the race lead there. Huh. Fastest lap of the race? That can't be a legal lap. A 1:29 allegedly, according to Nasoft. For comparison's sake, our race leaders are doing 1:32s. Apparently McNamara's done a 1:29. I'm not quite buying that. I think he may have taken a shortcut somewhere. He's also a lap down.
Actually, Michael Tuckwood's the driver of that car, and I would suggest that maybe that is possible. Tuckwood's a front-running driver in the class a couple of years ago before he moved overseas.
3 seconds quicker than the leaders?
Possibly not, but they were doing 29s in qualifying, so it's not completely insane of a lap time.
Okay, well, there you go.
Mind you, he shouldn't be 30th at that sort of lap. Something's happened with the 515 car, and the Tuckwood's dumped a lot of track position.
May have been the one that we saw turned around as well earlier on. As quickly as Brett Parrish got the lead, he's lost it again to Cameron Bartholomew, who seems to like having himself leading this pack. Sometimes you like having someone to chase, like a rabbit just in front of you, like a carrot being dangled in front of you. That's probably a better analogy. But Bartholomew doesn't want that. He wants to be the carrot. And
here we go. Bartholomew's making the move on Parrish again. So we look back at Nash Morris.
Wheel to wheel through 1 and 2, slows them both up dramatically, gives Tim Slade a great run, and he bumps Bartholomew down the straight and now goes up the inside of him with a helping hand from Luke Pink. Combine the horsepower of 2 XLs and you have yourself a very fast race car in a straight line. So Tim Slade to the lead of the race, Pink into second for now, but Bartholomew's trying to hang on to that outside. He's done it, and Brett Parrish will be 4th as this shakes out. May end up in 3rd if he can get up the inside of Luke Pink here at turn 4. He doesn't, but I'll tell you what.
Bartholomew,
Yeah. Locks it up, sends it in, back into the lead.
And Slade is shuffled back to 3rd.
Can't keep Bartholomew out of the lead for long.
It's a very aggressive driver, Cameron Bartholomew. Won the CAMS-based XL series that's held at Morgan Park.
The state championship, yeah. won it last year. He's the reigning champion of the Queensland XL State Series.
And that loud hooter you might have just heard signals that pit lane is open.
That was terrifying. I wasn't expecting that. So with 38 laps to go, pit lane opens, as you mentioned. I did speak to a couple of drivers, and they did talk to me about the advantages of pitting under a clamp down. You're not going to lose much time at all compared to under full green flag conditions. So drivers that can afford to do it, who've got two very fast drivers in their car today, might want to stay out there a little bit longer. They've got 19 laps now to pit. They might want to hang out there and just maybe hope for a clamp down to gain them a huge chunk of time in the pit window. Also, the benefit of the drafts can't be understated.
Now, just a couple of predictions here. I think, what, has it frozen? Or?
Apparently McNamara just gained 21 spots in a lap.
Okay, yep, I know why that is. He's just, yeah, okay. That's just an error.
And McLaren 17, big movers.
Yeah.
Got a lot of timing software.
I'm going to suggest right at the moment that Nash Morris is going to be one of our first pitters.
Get Brock in the car.
Yeah, most of the cars at the front of the field have got their faster driver in for the start of the race, so they're going to go longer, pit later, perhaps hoping to be able to pick up a clamp down and try and get pit stop that way. Nash Morris might be thinking that they might be putting Brock Feeney into the car early.
Well, they're losing time at the moment because they don't have the draft. And he's running around all by himself. He's just losing time hand over fist. That last lap, he was a full second slower than Bartholomew. I mean, it's an interesting one. Is Morris the slower driver compared to Feeney? Maybe, maybe not. They're probably about even, to be honest. Morris is the more experienced XL racer.
No, actually.
No?
No, Feeney's been a regular driver of XLs up here in Queensland. He's done a lot of racing in Brett Parrish cars over the years, and Morris has been more concentrating on other cars than he hasn't really got a lot of time in XLs himself.
Well, he has done the full state series the last 2 years, so he has got that time. Feeney hasn't. So. There's an argument to be made there. Here we go. Here's an argument to be made for the lead of the race. Luke Pink throws it up the inside. Bartholomew just holds it around the outside and says, "No, mate, you're standing second." This is
Richards and Allen.
Yeah.
Place.
Kai Allen trying to hold on to 7th and not quite able to do it. I'll tell you why Luke Pink didn't get by Bartholomew. Because he dove to pit lane.
Roland Dane as well.
Well, is it Dane or Ibrahim in the car? So that's our first pit stops. Interesting call for Pink to pit. They were running very quickly at the front of the field, and I think they're only going to lose time by pitting early and not having the draft.
Yeah, I believe that Ryan Casher, though, was the faster of the two drivers in the car.
I don't think it matters if you're running by yourself and losing a second a lap like Nash Morris is, half a second that lap, but that's a huge chunk of time.
Well, in the meantime, Slade's reclaimed the lead with a bomb dive on Bartholomew, turn 4. He's been shuffled a little bit wide. Bartholomew, showing his aggression, stays wide on the outside line of turn 5 in order to reclaim with the lead on a slingshot, but we've gone clamp down. We have gone clamp down.
And I'll tell you who's going to be absolutely steaming. Luke Pink and Ryan Casher. They should have stayed out. Because what's going to happen now, everyone's going to pit. And I mean everyone. Watch this.
Well, by the same token, Pink and Casher have got their pit stop done now, so they gain track position while everyone else is in the pits.
Well, no, they won't, because they have to drive slowly. They have to drive slowly around the racetrack, whereas everyone else was going full steam. So while everyone else went full steam around the racetrack while they were stopped in pit lane, these guys are stopped in pit lane, and Ryan Kasher is doing pedestrian pace out there. This is bad news for them. A couple of people stayed out.
Yeah, Bartholomew has stayed out, and the reason for that's fairly obvious. I think Bartholomew is the faster of the two drivers in the car, so they're not going to gain by pitting Bartholomew now, at least. It's an interesting strategy call, but as you can see, most of a lot of the front-running teams, we see just immediately the car closest to the bottom of the screen there is the Nash Morris Brock Feeney car.
Confirmation that Morris was in the car, obviously.
And we see Tim Slade and Darren Whittington. Whittington's excellent pit stop by Whittington. So Darren Whittington will resume, and he will likely be the leading car of those cars that have done pit stops.
And Luke Pink is over there. So there you go.
Their pit stop has turned out to be rather slow, actually. There's an additional concern there.
Who?
The Pink Kasher stop was actually slow.
No, that's the stop was slow, or was that the time they've lost on the track?
No. Too much time in the pits. No, the car spent too much time in the pits. It was actually a slow stop.
It's a double whammy for them. That's unlucky.
It has been, yeah. Now, the reason for the clampdown is the additional concern.
Yeah, I'm lost on that one. I couldn't tell you. I think there's a car just being turned into pit lane in the back of shot there. And off into the deep reaches of the paddock it goes. There's a couple safety vehicles out on the racetrack at the moment. So this order's going to shake out quite interestingly. We've got a few drivers at the front who've elected not to pit, who are going to try and build a gap and then pit under what will most likely be green flag conditions. Cameron Bartholomew, Kai Allen, McNamara, Wanless, McLaren, Graham, Sharma, Drummel.
Now we see they're in 9th position as the first team that have completed their pit stop. Darren Whittington. Tim Slade started the race in the car, handed over to Whittington, and 9th place is an excellent position for him. We see also the Brady Owen and Declan Fraser car is 11th at the moment. Parrish and, well, Brett Parrish has handed over to Cameron Wilson, and they are 12th in the queue, ahead of Brock Feeney. And the number 74 car is also pitted, so Sean Evans will be at the wheel of the number 74 now.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the hot hatch racer can go in that 74. In a pretty decent spot. All of these drivers are now. And let's see, where did Pink and Kasher fall to on the timing screen? They are now scored back in 18th and about 40 seconds behind the effective race leader. So they've got quite a lot of work to do. Still a lot of cars running in this one. We're not quite back to green flag racing yet. But when we do go back racing, it'll be Darren Whittington leading, and as now they've decided to pit, so Kai Allen pits now. So that's an interesting call. They've stayed out some extra time in this clampdown and only now pitted as we have a safety truck deciding to head out of the pits at turn 1. So someone else needs to be rescued out there maybe. So Allen will hand over to Jared Hughes. And the longer this goes on, potentially, the more we see those drivers, or the more drivers we see come in who elected to stay out.
Bartholomew's in.
Yeah, well, Bartholomew, there you go. He's decided to come in. It seems like a no-brainer, really. the amount of time you lose is so much less.
Now this is theoretically put the Jordan McNamara 515 car with Michael Tuckwood at the wheel in the race lead from the Wanless family car. There they are there.
Curious to see what the gaps will be like on the restart between some of these drivers, as it sounds like we're going back racing. We're back green for this Enduro.
That's our race leader.
And that is the race leader.
Michael Tuckwood.
The 515 being driven by Michael Tuckwood, sharing the car with McNamara. A bit of traffic to navigate, but not too much pressure from behind.
Well, you say that, but this bright green car here, that is the second place car there of Brooke and Todd Wanless. So they're not that far behind. Not sure who is at the wheel of the car at the moment. The car is fighting well above its way. I'm not sure whether that suggests that Todd, of course, infinitely more experienced driver than Brooke, who's got around 2 or 3 years of XL Cup experience on board. But we see now that the Wanless car is making excellent progress.
Yeah, I'll tell you who's driving. Wanless is driving. There's a Wanless driving that car. As down the back straight, who are we picking up here?
Connor Roberts and Trey Machota.
So these guys have been buried in the order.
A couple of very fast cars there in Roberts and Machota, but they've had bad luck. As we pick up the cars that have made the pit stops, and we see that Whittington's advantage is actually not all that much.
No, it's a small gap for Darren Whittington ahead of Cameron Wilson, who'll be at the wheel now of the car he's sharing with Brett Parrish. And Brady Owen will have handed over the reins of his number 25 as well, won't he?
Yes, yeah. Jared Hughes is on board the Kai Allen car, just to note as well.
Yeah, we figured that one out.
Now going back to the race leaders here, we see looking across towards turn 3, there's the McNamara car. And there's the Wanless car. That's first and second place at the moment. Yet to make their pit stops. Their advantage is around 36 seconds.
There's some action into turn 4. That's the Dane and Ibrahim entry. I'm not sure which of them is at the wheel at the moment. There's some damage to the front right of that car, or there's been some damage repaired. Well, that's some black tape on it, so the damage has been repaired already. But been in the wars. They had to start at the rear of the grid, of course, after not finishing the sprint race earlier today.
Actually, one of the white car immediately behind them on the running order is the 4th place car of Jet Graham, who's Jet by name, Jet by nature, is going great guns.
There's Brock Feeney chasing down Darren Whittington. He's made quick work of Owen and Parrish. Very quick work, and Brock Feeney's looking fast aboard that number 94. Out onto the main straight. In fact, Parrish drops all the way behind Ryan O'Sullivan. So really not a great lap for him. 2 seconds off the pace.
McNamara and Wanless again on screen here. And here's the pursuing pack. And goodness me, they're still going at it just like they have for pretty much the entire race here. Brady Owen is doing a fantastic job here. That orange and black number 25 Tim Ken car has gotten past Feeney, gotten past Whittington. And notably ahead of Harris there as well.
3 wide on the exit. No, Whittington tucks in behind Owen. This is the effective race lead. They're only 37 seconds off the leaders. The leaders will lose more time than that when they make their pit stop.
Yeah, it's estimated that the entire stop takes around 80 seconds all up. 35 seconds to transit the lane, 45 seconds for the stop itself.
It's quite a lengthy process, as now Whittington's going to fall to third because Brock Feeney slots himself onto the second step of the provisional podium and immediately goes for a dive on the inside of the final corner. And he's pulled it off. Feeney on a charge in the 54 into the lead, and they fan out behind him. Whittington tucks in to give Owen a push as Parrish moves by Cameron Bartholomew, who, is handed back over to Ryle Harris. So that's worked out well. They just managed to get their pit stop in before the clampdown ended, Bartholomew and Harris. But going to be interesting to see how Ryle Harris holds on with this lead group now of drivers, as Feeney gets a little whack from Brady Owen into turn 3.
And Darren Whittington tucked right in behind.
If the top 3 can work together, I think they may be able to pull away. If they start bump drafting down the straights, there's a possibility for it. 29 laps to go. Still a lot of racing left in this one.
Just looking at the times, Tuckwood is actually continuing to increase his race lead. He's moving away at around half a second a lap right at the moment. He will lose substantial ground once the pit stop happens. However, the pursuing pack of the effective race leaders are not catching him on the road.
Well, they are. Nash Morris just went 2 seconds quicker than McNamara on that lap.
Well, that's only just happened. There had been increasing.
Half a second quicker the previous lap. He is driving away from Wanless, though, who is immediately behind him on the racetrack. So that gap is increasing. But it's not surprising, though, because this group of Morris, Owen and company are working together now. Look at that. Owen's not going for a big dive. He's just helping push him along the straight.
In fact, those two have broken away from the group, just, well, slightly. You see Whittington's only 2 car lengths further behind, but that has been able to give them some space, and as you say, they're not fighting with each other anymore, and that's how they've been able to start gaining time on Tuckwood, the race leader, again, because while they were fighting with each other, Tuckwood was moving away.
I keep saying Nash Morris as well when I glance at the timing screen and reference a lap time. It is Fanny at the wheel of the car, but it is shared with Morris. Same story for pretty much the rest of the combinations. Those 2 cars have gapped Darren Whittington ever so slightly, and Cameron Wilson, who are working together in their own little duo.
Back with the effective race lead.
There is the effective race lead. 2 duos heading down the main straight in unison. A little gap between them. And then back to Richards, 11th overall. Bloxham, Kai Allen. Luke Pink is running 14th, and he is 20 seconds away from these cars on screen.
Of course, Kasher at the wheel of the car now.
Yep.
So still Michael Tuckwood's out the front of the field. He's setting steady laps in the 33s. The pursuing effective race leaders doing 32s. So the gap is coming down again.
We just saw the 888 go for a move up the inside at the last corner. There it is. Trying to complete that, and it's going to get mugged. 27 laps to go. We are past the halfway mark of this one.
And back with us, effective race leading pack here. Now, they have climbed into fourth. They're now fighting over fourth place. There are only 3 holdouts at the front of the field. Todd Wanless, Sam McLaren and Jet Graham, or their co-drivers, are the 3 that are left at the front of the field. See, Brady Owen is actually now the fastest car of this pursuing pack. But we're looking over here and we're just seeing where the Wanless car is now. Here's our race leader, Brooke / Todd Wanless, and they're chasing after the Zane Goddard Ben Gomes-Hall car at the moment. Has lost several laps, around as many as 10 laps. But here's the battle group fighting over fourth place, Morris at its head. And when just looking a little bit further back, there's Sean Evans there, and he's chasing after. That's actually, I was looking at the Sean Evans car and I couldn't see Brett Parrish, who should have been the next car in front. So there's a gap formed there. Another one of our holdouts has just pitted. Not one of the 3 at the front. We see the Wanless, McLaren and Graham continue to run at the pointy end of the field, yet to make their stops before we find Brock Feeney here in 4th position, the white number 94 car immediately in front of our vision.
It's quite the holding pattern at the moment, this middle portion of the race, as we see O'Sullivan there at the wheel of his number 74 Logitech G Hyundai XL. It's quite the holding pattern this stage of the race. Feeney's not pulling away. Whittington, Owen and Parrish are all quite content to just sit in behind him and just save their stuff at the moment. Get a free ride down the straight, let Feeney push the hole in the air, and then when we get into the final few laps, that's when it will all erupt for the race lead. But at the moment, they're just cruising along, 24 seconds off the lead as it is. They'll inherit it when the top 3 pit. And they are continuing to pull away from everyone behind them as well, so it's not looking like it's going to be any more than 4 cars that fight for the race lead at the end of this. All lapping in the 31s that time.
We see Ryle Harris driving Cameron Bartholomew's car is falling off the pace. He's unable to match that group at the front. He's around 2 seconds shy of the pace of the cars that they were running with early in the running order. So yeah, it is going to be down between between Brock Feeney, Brady Owen, Darren Whittington and Cameron Wilson.
Yeah, falling off that lead group has really hurt Ryle Harris. If he'd stayed with them, he may have been able to just go with them, get that tow down the straights, but because he's only lapping with a car 3 seconds up the road, he's having to make his own hole in the air, and it's costing him a whole chunk of lap time. But with 24 still to go in this race, who knows what may still happen. That doesn't look good. That's the 515. It was leading the race earlier on, and now it is smoking, which hopefully doesn't mean it's dropping crap all over the track, because that could be interesting.
But now we're back with our race leader once more, Todd Wanless. The new metal car run up the hangar straight now, and we see the Goddard and Gomersall car now running at fairly good pace. I mean, they've lost a bucket of laps, unfortunately, but they're actually making good time now, although, of course, the race has entirely run away from them. Running down at the base of the top 20. Oh, well, the McNamara car has dropped to 19th, but yeah, Gomersall, they're 6 laps behind the race. So that's obviously not going to be recoverable.
They won't recover the 6 laps, but others may lose more than 6 laps as this one continues to head to its conclusion. That's their hope as they hang in there. A lot of effort put in to get into this one, as we just saw Ryle Harris on the screen momentarily. As we pick up down the straight, Brady Owen's got himself into the lead, so they've decided to stop being content and start racing again. Brady Owen, that's why they've started racing, because Brock Feeney skipped away. Brady Owen wants to go with him, and they're side by side behind him. They're trying to lap the 888 car. Well, I wonder if that had anything to do with the 54 pulling away.
Jeffrey Abrams actually doing a good job of hanging on to these leading cars just at the moment, as we follow Brock Feeney, the number 94 Motorsport sales car, doing a tremendous job. Now we see the Wanless, and we now only have 2 holdouts. Feeney is up into 3rd position. There's only Wanless and McLaren left at the front of the field, yet to make their stops. So we're going to see Todd Wanless, I suspect, push all the way to the very end of the pit window, which is imminent, actually, because with 35 laps down, yeah, so there's another 3 laps remaining, and then we'll see both the number 24 and the number 11 car, for that matter, Sam McLaren, who's got John Carter at the wheel, I suspect. John Carter, a former front runner of XL Racing.
Still a current front runner of XL Racing, it would seem, running in 2nd place. But of course, he hasn't made his pit stop, and when he does and McLaren rejoins the racetrack, they will be outside the top 20 with the time they've lost. Not taking advantage of that clampdown as we pick up Ibrahim on the racetrack, and there is...
Sorry, it's a pack of cars running together. I thought it might have been a good one.
A group that were side by side exiting turn 3. They sort themselves out before they get to turn 4 though, so nothing too exciting there. Two laps until these top 2 dive in, you would suspect, unless McLaren or Wanless decide to go early. Brock Feeney's cut the gap down to 14 seconds. I wonder if Feeney will get to the back of the 11 before the 11 pits. He's only 3 seconds behind him now, and he's lapping about 3 seconds a lap quicker.
Here we are. Well, here is the number 94 Brock Feeney and his stern chase here of the Sam McLaren car. I believe John Carter might be driving right at the moment, as mentioned moments ago. And there he is, just, there's the Carter car just there. That black colour car immediately in front. Wanless has still got a bit of an advantage. 12 seconds, it's coming down, mind you. So I think we can expect that when Brooke Wanless takes the wheel of the number 24 car, that she will emerge onto the track somewhere in the region of around 22nd. But here's Cameron Wilson being chased here by Darren Whittington. And immediately in front of them, Brady Owen, who's been doing a tremendous job in the car that he's been sharing with Declan Fraser here this weekend. Here we go, Wanless into the pits. So that means, and McLaren is in as well. So that means we've now got the cars at the front of the field have all made their pit stops. So Feeney from Owen, Whittington, and Cameron Wilson. And Sean Evans has climbed up into 5th position. He's 8 seconds behind the lead. He's not going to threaten the leading quartet.
O'Sullivan. I wonder if it's Evans or O'Sullivan on the wheel at the moment.
I suspect that the pace the car was going in the early running, that I think actually, yeah, that does make more sense that Evans started the race and it's O'Sullivan at the wheel now. Because they pitted early on as well, so that would strongly suggest that Evans started the race.
Ryle Harris is falling back to 7th place, but he's only a couple of tenths behind Lockie Bloxham, who's running in 6th.
And here's the 5th place car now, the O'Sullivan Evans car.
Lonely old time for him. He's 8 seconds behind Parrish and 10 seconds ahead of Bloxham, but he has got a couple of lapped cars to navigate.
Steve Owen at the wheel of the 68 car as well, so we might see the 68 car close that gap down. Actually, what do the times look like? Actually, no, not so much. Bloxham might be at the, well, it's hard to say who's at the wheel of the number 68 car at the moment, but the times aren't really competitive. Of the cars, and that siren, which is getting increasingly raucous as the day goes on, signals that pit has closed for compulsory pit stops. If you haven't made your compulsory pit stop by now, you're going to get an end of race penalty. So Feeney continues to lead from Whittington, Cameron Wilson and Brady Owen. So it looks like Cameron Wilson has been able to get past. Now we see that Feeney's got a gap at the front of the field, and it's starting to look like that maybe Brady Owen is falling off the battle for 2nd place. Fastest car on the circuit right at the moment, though, is a battle going on for 9th place. Ryan Casher and Callan Roberts, both circulating in mid-32s.
Yeah, I'd be a little bit worried as we see this battle between Cam Wilson and Brady Owen. Owen will have the inside for the final corner. He's trying to make this overtake. Wilson was ahead last time they crossed the line. And let's see as they emerge out onto the main straight. Owen's still behind, so Wilson's held him off for the lap. I'd be starting to get worried about the lead that Brock Feeney's opening up. It's 5 seconds now. And with only 18 laps remaining, it's getting to the point where you're going to want to start to peg it back in a little bit. You don't want to let it get out too much if you're Darren Whittington. There is Feeney on screen. 5 seconds clear. If you can take a couple tenths a lap, it'll take you a little while to get to him. So, yeah, 5 seconds. Probably about the max that Whittington wants to let him get to. He'll want to put his foot down now, but it will be tough work. Feeney may have broke the back of his competitors already.
I think he has. That gap is out to 5 seconds now, and he's going away. Whittington's the only one providing any real resistance at the moment. But yeah, Owen and Wilson appear to have dropped off the pace by around a second a lap.
Connor Roberts continuing to look impressive out there on the racetrack as he tries to work away by Ryan Casher and earn a spot further inside the top 10. They have now swapped around on the racetrack, so he has got by him.
We see here that Bloxham's just overtaking Ryle Harris for position. The battle for 6th place, at least that's what it looked like at the time. The dark coloured car that Bloxham was moving up onto. Across the stripe they go. And yes, Bloxham now into 6th place. So a late charge here by, well, I'd suggest that Steve Owen might be at the wheel of the number 68 car, the former long-time supercar racer. Doing a great job in the number 68 car, having hauled in Ryle Harris over the course of the last few laps. Back with our race lead, that's not our race leader, sorry, that's the number 20 car, Jet Graham. And here's the battle for, that's Ryle Harris and Connor Roberts just at the moment. So Connor Roberts is already motoring very quickly away as we pick up our race leader once more, Brock Feeney, heading up the hanger straight towards turn 6, I should say. Winding the laps down. 40 laps down, 17 remaining. I just see the number 6 car was limping down pit lane, Harrison Bates. They're a long way down the running order and they appear to have something wrong with the car.
Yeah, and they've brought that car into the paddock, so it looks like they might be done for the day, or they're going to try some late repairs and get back out there, but that's a real shame. We may see quite a few more cars do something similar in the closing stages of this one. A bit of driver fatigue may come into play as well, as it's a very hot day at Queensland Raceway. And the sun beating down on the circuit at the moment. The drivers will be feeling it in that race car, especially the ones that have been in there since the very start of this stint opened. Close to about 40 laps in the car by the time they get to the end.
Race leaders putting a lap on the Wanless car by Wanless.
Yeah, so Wanless has lost a lap in all of that in the process of doing their stop.
Young Brook will be at the wheel now.
Yeah. And Darren Whittington in behind Brady Owens. He's lost that spot on this lap. And Cameron Wilson behind both of them. All of them behind Brock Feeney, who's now opened his gap to over 6 seconds. "15 laps to go. It looks like the battle is going to be all about the battle for the podium spots in this one.
McNamara and Scott Green, we're just picking up at the moment. They're a little bit further back in the pack. Of course, this car that Michael Tuckwood raced into the lead for a long period of the race, but staying out as long as they did has hurt them a bit, and they're now 17th.
Here goes Wilson looking for a move on Darren Whittington. There's Brady Owen holds them both up through turn 3, but as always, the car that gets out to the front ends up being the cork in the bottle down the straights, unless they can find themselves a lot of speed and pull away, akin to what Brock Feeney has managed to do out front in the 94. Handed the car by Nash Morris in a pretty handy spot, and it's got that gap out to 6.1 seconds last lap. It's probably more attuned to 6.5 now. Side by side again, exiting the last corner, were the battle for the podium spots, as we just picked up Ryan O'Sullivan for a second there, running in 5th. 10 seconds either side of him for any position change for him. Look at that hungry pack of cars exiting turn 6. A whole lot of them there. Here goes Whittington looking to get back Brady Owen. He's got the run out of 2 and the inside down the back straight. Into the braking zone, Cam Wilson looks to try and follow him through. Whittington has completed the move and Brady Owen under attack now from Wilson, who completes that move, and Owen just tucks back in behind him.
Heading down into turn 4, under brakes. Whittington brakes slightly early. Wilson's having a look, covers the line. So these three continuing to let Brock Feeney get away. Feeney's been circulating in mid-32s. These trio are now lapping around a second a lap slower while they fight amongst themselves. It looks very much like the race is gone for everyone that isn't car number 94.
Don't speak too soon though, you can never be certain. .8 seconds is the gap. That is certain, as Whittington falls to the back of that little train. There's 3 cars fighting for the last 2 spots on the podium. One of them is going to miss out, and 2 drivers are going to be very disappointed. The 19 of Connor Roberts just exploring the outer reaches of the track on the entry to turn 1 there.
6th place.
Yep, he's running in 6th at the moment. Just about a second clear of Bloxham, who had got by him, but he's fallen behind him again as, surprise, surprise, they're running wheel to wheel again for 2nd and 3rd.
Under brakes into turn 4. Owen has the advantage. He's got the inside line. Wilson is slightly ahead, but turn 5. Well, Wilson's done a good job there to hang on the outside line, and it's given him the inside line for turn 6, and he will be able to take 2nd place for the run to the line. Just see them in the distance, negotiating turn 6 here at Queensland Raceway. Onto the Dick Johnson Straight. We have completed 45 laps of this race, 12 remaining. Now we'll move across to, here's the Cameron Bartholomew Ryle Harris car. Coming under fire here from, that's Joshua Richards, who's sharing the car with Holly Spray, I think, if memory serves. And we move back towards the battle pack for 2nd place. Wilson took a very tight line through turn 2. Of course, it gives him the advantage of the inside line at turn 3. Owen's doing a great job running around the outside. So able to carry that much more speed through turn 2 while Wilson tried to defend the line.
Yeah, Wilson was very conservative in the braking zone for turn 3 there. Just making sure he didn't make a mistake and spear into the side of Brady Owen. But his conservative approach gave him a good exit, and he was able to fight back and hang around the outside of 4 and 5. A great little fight here for the last 2 steps on the podium. And they'll carry the fight into turn 6. And it's going to just keep on folding like this between these 3 drivers. Still wheel to wheel down the main straight. Whittington getting ahead of Parrish now.
That looked like Jan Van Roon car that they've just put a lap on. This car's a lap down at the moment, the 555 car. Their next target to put a lap on will be the Roland Dane car, I think. We go back to our race leader. And Brock Feeney's doing a tremendous job out front. So he's continuing to lap around 8 to 10 tenths faster than the pack fighting over second place. The gap has blown out to 11 seconds now. And this will be a memorable victory for young Nash Morris, his first endurance race victory, if they can pull it off. There's still 10 laps remaining. As we see Feeney come into sight just there on the run towards turn 6. Crossing the stripe to complete lap number 47. Now here's the Bloxham, and there's Ryan Casher. The first car to dive into the pits, and it really hurt them, but Casher's been able to fight the way back into 8th position. In fact, 7th position, because he's just overtaking Lachlan Bloxham on the run towards turn 6. And Casher and Trey Machota's up into 9th place now as well, just not far from them.
Bad news for Casher and Pink though, as they are 20 odd seconds still away from the battle for the podium, which they were a part of up until their earlier stop. He could still finish 6th in this race. Connor Roberts is only 3 seconds ahead of him. 5th is probably a bit too far. He's got a 10-second gap to rein in to get 5th. So 6th will be the target for Casher from here, I suspect. With 10 laps to go.
Wilson falling off the battle for second.
Yeah, Cameron Wilson's just holding back a little bit, it seems. He's not going with Whittington quite so hard, whereas Whittington is literally pushing Brady Owen down the straights. And Wilson's fallen off a few tenths, but he's still there. Still a part of the battle. Officially 10 laps to go then in this 175-kilometre enduro.
Bloxham, Casher and Machota. So the 3 cars that just flashed across the screen is actually quite a close battle there of Bloxham, Casher and Machota fighting over 7th place. So that's a scrap that's going to go all the way to the end, and while the 3 of them are fighting amongst themselves, and there they are again, Bloxham the blue car in front, Casher the yellow car in the middle, and Machota, I should say, the white and orange car at the back of the group. And here comes Casher pushing into 7th place. No, Machota's going to get both of them. Trey Machota's got the inside line for turn 3. And this has been a long stern chase for both of these cars here, in Trey Machota and Ryan Casher. And they may have finally been able to put the Lachlan Bloxham and Steve Owen car behind them for the rest of the race, although it's hard to tell, of course. But yeah, Casher and Machota have been closing down the gap to Bloxham Owen car for quite some time. And looking slightly further up the field there, that looks like the O'Sullivan car. Now, O'Sullivan and Sean Evans. Their car behind them, several laps down, is not competing for position, but this is the 5th place car right at the moment. The car that those squabbling trio that we were just looking at for, and we move back to the battle for second place, and yeah, Wilson is continuing to.
For one of our cars, a shade has come over the back of the circuit as the sun starts to dip behind the trees, and that's probably casting some cool shadows over some of the corners. The main straight, though, still bathed in sunlight, as is our commentary position, much to my displeasure. There's the battle for 7th place on screen as well. Machoda's just got by Kasha. So Kasha had charged forward into 6th, and now he's back to 8th. Bartholomew up into 10th place as someone goes very slowly down the main straight.
The car that was travelling very slowly on the front straight there was actually the Richards and Holly Spray car. And they were top 10, but the car's rolling to a halt. And we've got another car off in the infield as we look back towards the battle for second place, and Wilson's gone, it looks like. So it's now down to Whittington versus Owen. Or Fraser. We've never quite got clarification as to who was driving the 25 car at the front at the start of the race. And there's the 5th place car of O'Sullivan. He's had a really good weekend, Ryan O'Sullivan.
Another drama off the back of the circuit, one car off the road, heading out of turn 2. They get back on the track eventually on the run towards turn 3. It wasn't the Richards Spray car, it was another one just behind it on the road. So all action around the Richards Spray machine. I'll have a closer look. It was this car coming into turn 4 now that went off the road, spun to the inside actually on the exit of turn 2, which I thought was a curious spot. But the one just behind that one, that's the car that spun, the 157.
Josh Dremel.
197. So yeah, Josh Dremel having a little spin there. There is Whittington and Owen, still fighting for second, and 1.1 seconds closer to the back of Nash Morris than they were, as Richards and Spray have brought their car to a stop in the crossover between turns 3 and 6, which forms the layout for which Queensland Raceway circuit, Mark?
Well, it's used for both the Sportsman circuit and the Sprint circuit.
Very nice. I don't think that will require a clamp down. It's nice and safely out of the way. Whoa, just see that lock-up out of camera shot. Oh, you just saw on the camera shot, actually, into turn 6.
I think that's in the battle for 7th place.
Yeah, that's the battle just flashing by the camera there. The battle for 7th. Roberts, Machoda and Kasha. The gap to Brock Feeney comes down again at 7.2 seconds now. And Darren Whittington goes by Brady Owen. Curious move to do that when you've just taken 1.6 seconds out of the race leader, but with 5 laps to go, I don't think there's much that they can do unless Feeney really starts tumbling here he's built up enough of a margin to cruise home.
Well, he's actually backed off a bit. Feeney's now circulating in the 34s. The gap has fallen from 11 seconds to 7 seconds, but it's still a comfortable gap that they can keep control of at any moment. As we just saw, Owen was going for second place, trying to get past Whittington. We drop back to look at our 5th place car here, Ryan O'Sullivan, doing a tremendous job. Now, and Roberts has almost caught him. Callan Roberts in the number 19 car has almost caught Ryan O'Sullivan. So there's going to be a scrap for 5th place at the end of this race. Here's the fight for 7th going on between Machota, Kasha and Bloxham.
The 2 or 3 changes of position that occurred on that lap as well for 2nd place cost them a bunch of time, which is really just solidifying Feeney's lead. As there we go, down at turn 1. Roberts has got by O'Sullivan and into the top 5 he goes. Down at turn 3, Owen still leading Whittington in that particular order, as Bartholomew just puts himself back in the top 10 and pushes Jared Hughes out of it in the car he's sharing with Kai Allen. They're now back to 11th. There's the stranded Esprit Richards car, and behind him go Roberts and O'Sullivan. The battle for 5th, and behind them the battle for 7th. Well and truly alive. Machota trying to fend off Kasha and blocks him. The 3 of them fighting ever so hard in the dying stages of this one as the shadows grow longer over this Queensland Raceway circuit. We'll wrap this race up just shy of 90 minutes worth of racing.
It looks like actually that Ryle Harris in Cameron Bartholomew's car has almost caught the battle for 7th. So that will be very interesting as, oh no, there he is now. So that's a different black car that was on the tail of the 7th position battle. So not quite. And here's the fight for 2nd place once more. Whittington moving past Brady Owen. Now Wilson is starting to come back into the fight. That is the closest that Cameron Wilson has been to 2nd place in around in half a dozen laps.
Well, Owen and Whittington were driving towards Feeney. Now the gap's back out to 9.5 seconds again because they're fighting, and it's in turn dragged Wilson up to their bumpers. And it's 3 cars once again fighting for 2 podium spots, which is going to leave 2 drivers, 1 driver pairing, very disappointed at the end of this one. Cameron Wilson pushes Owen through turn 5, who in turn pushes Whittington out of turn 5. Coming to 2 laps to go of this 57-lap endurance race. There's Brock Feeney crossing the line.
That's the size of the gap.
That's the size of the gap as finally across the line comes 2nd, 3rd and 4th, 10.3 seconds away. Whittington from Wilson, he's got ahead of Owen.
It's on his own. Why? Just lost time. Okay.
And then in 5th place,
6th.
Roberts has got ahead and O'Sullivan has fallen away from him, not able to stick with him. He's looking solid at 6th now. In fact, O'Sullivan's slow. O'Sullivan's very slow on the racetrack. He's falling down the order. He's back to 9th. And Kasha, Machota and Bloxham are fighting for 7th out there on the racetrack. Where's the battle for 2nd? There it is. Darren Whittington's got a little bit of a gap over Brady Owen, who's got back ahead of Cameron Wilson. 3 drivers, 2 spots up for grabs. The win is checked out, but they can still put themselves on the podium with the last gasp effort as the last lap board is displayed for Brock Feeney. The battle for 6 now, also on your screen, after O'Sullivan's tumbled down the order mark, and it's led by Ryan Casher.
Roberts is in the back of that pack. This is the battle for 5th.
It's now the battle for 5th because Roberts is at the back of that pack. That means there was probably contact between Roberts and O'Sullivan that was just slightly off the screen. So 4 cars scrapping over 5th, 3 cars scrapping over 2nd, the 3 cars fighting for 2nd, heading down the back straight. Whittington ahead of Owen, ahead of Wilson, into the turn 3 braking zone. Owen, not quite close enough, but Wilson throws his nose up the inside of Brady Owen, and they'll run wheel to wheel out of turn 3 on the final lap, fighting hard for the podium spots. But the race winner, Mark, Brock Feeney and Nash Morris, car number 54, 175 kilometres and 57 laps to get there. It's going to be Brock Feeney at the wheel after Nash Morris started this race, coming to the checkered flag, and Brock Feeney wins it for the 54 car team, in the 94 car team rather, in this Enduro here at Queensland Raceway. Whittington wins the battle for 2nd. Cameron Wilson gets home in 3rd, just knocking Owen off the podium. And the battle for 5th. Into the last corner. 4 cars under a blanket. Casher in front at the moment from Machota in 6th. Bloxham and then Roberts. Machota trying to get Casher to the line. A drag race and almost a dead heat between them. Bloxham just gets Roberts. And Casher nabbed Machota by 0.02 of a second for P5.
The battle for 9th has been won by Ryle Harris, picked off Kai Allen in the late running. We're waiting for the 11th car to come around. It's Mitchell Wooler, that is, who crosses the line in 11th place. Then we've got Frank Mamarella, the Select Smash car. Ryan O'Sullivan is expected to come around next, but no, he's lost another spot to Simpson in the 96 car. And there's the McNamara and Tuckwood car crossing the line in 14th position. Now, it looks like that maybe the O'Sullivan 74 car might not be able to finish. The last car home on the lead lap, if the 74, and here he comes now, here's the 74 car coming to the line, crawling along, and it's been such a trial for them, falling over with 2 laps, with 2 or 3 laps remaining, and falling in the end
15th still.
to 15th position.
Staying on the lead lap is good.
So yes, they did go the full race distance, the full 175 kilometres. Never got round to explaining that. This race was originally planned to be 200 kilometres a couple of years ago, but that really impinges on the fuel range of an XL Cup car, so they dropped it back to 175 kilometres to make sure that they got home full distance. So very much thanks to Bush Ranger Power Equipment. But just to run through the finishing order then, race victory goes to Brock Feeney and Nash Morris in the number 94 car. Darren Whittington and Tim Slade have taken 2nd place in the number 85 car. Brett Parrish and Cameron Wilson take 3rd. Brady Owen and Declan Fraser can probably consider themselves to be unlucky, finishing in 4th place at the end of the race. Ryan Casher and Luke Pink, they had that disastrous pit stop right at the start of the race. Well, maybe they just pitted too early rather than anything else, and they've stormed home to claim 5th place in the end. But what might have been for the number 79 car, Trey Machota, I should say, the car that he shares, I've just lost my place just for a moment. They've come home in 6th position. 7th place has gotten to Steve Owen and Lachlan Bloxlam. 7th place to Connor Roberts and Andrew Wilton in the Tour 86 production racer. Cameron Bartholomew and Ryle Harris have claimed 9th place in the end. Kai Allen and Jared Hughes have rounded out the top 10 ahead of Mitchell Wooler. In fact, that was a car that took a long time to come into contention, and in the end, Mitchell Wooler and Ryan Hansford have climbed into 11th position with a steady run ahead of Frank Mamarella and Darren Curry, who qualified quite high up in the running order as we see one of the wounded cars being brought in. So thanks once again to Bushranger Power Equipment for their support of this telecast of the EFS 4x4 Accessories XL Cup 175 kilometre race. Brought to you by the Track Attack Australia Cup and our broadcast partners, once again, Bushranger Power Equipment.
You're back now, and no one's ever going to take you away again. Just the weekend, he said. Didn't even armour all your tyres. No landing. 9, 0, never.
Hey, Dave. Hey, can I borrow the... But I'm your best mate. OK.
Bushranger Power Equipment. Too good to lend to your mates.
This clown again. Bushranger.
Oh, hey, do you think I could borrow the trimmer?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. There you go. It's all yours. Probably need a tetanus shot for that one.
Thanks.
Bushranger Power Equipment. Too good to lend to your mates.
What's he doing here? Hang on a minute. This is too easy. Uh-oh. Smiling nod. 3, 2, 1.
Bushranger Power Equipment. Too good to lend to your mates.